What does the goddamn line say, Tony?
Please do not use gendered language.
Then what? I'll be arrested, put in airport jail?
Look, you're going completely sideways, man.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
How dare you?
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
I'm Chris Hansen with Dave on NBC.
Jack Marius Tac-Theratrix.
Hi, I'm Spartacus.
Jackson, Sacramento, he, him. Steven Seagal.
Sex offender guy.
I'm Keith Morris.
This is Mumbai, Kutapi.
I'm Rick James, bitch.
Sorting through the lies.
The hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site, if you can believe that.
We cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
And uncovering the centuries-long plan for world domination.
Learning about Cuba, having some food.
Let's talk about Chinese people.
Have you ever been in a Turkish prison? Swangles and Fort Lauderdale?
I have sent 6 of my Libyan missiles to blow up the Sears hardware department.
Nothing could be more fun than jumping off a cliff with 2 German bisexuals.
Oh, you English are so superior, aren't you?
Thank you, comrade.
And now, Macroaggressions.
That's what assholes call it.
With your host,
Buddy, I don't know who you are, but you're about to get chlamydia.
Charlie Robinson.
Hey, Whitey, where's your hat?
You want to drop the blame on Charlie and say it's all Charlie's fault.
He was a retard. I get some goddamn diuretic.
Welcome to Macroaggressions. I'm your host, Charlie Robinson. If you are watching us on Iconic or Rockfin, or you're listening wherever podcasts are served, we certainly do appreciate your support. We know you have a million choices out there. We couldn't do it without the outstanding support of our sponsors. We have a great deal with My Patriot Supply. They've been nice enough to give us our own website. You go to preparewithmacroaggressions.com and take a look at what they're offering there. You get a discount on it. $99 for 4-week supply of food. That's pretty good. They have free shipping on orders $99 and up. You can get emergency survival food. You can get survival items. You can get water filtration. You can get air purification. They got what you need. They've got everything there. And considering the year we've just lived through, if you are not prepared, then you need to have your head examined. So do yourself a favor. Go check out the website, preparewithmacroaggressions.com. Check out and see what My Patriot Supply has available. And if there's something on there that you like, go ahead and support them. It supports our show as well. It'll get you prepared. If you're listening to this crazy stuff on your podcasts, then you might as well take advantage of some of it, right? You get tired of hearing your wife telling you stop listening to that conspiracy stuff. You're like, hey, listen, I prepped. I got all this stuff. Now we don't have to eat garbage for the next couple of months while everyone starves around us. So get your shit together and get over to the website and check it out. Well, I tell you what, I'm excited because though I have a deep interest in these topics, I really don't get into it too much. So I'm left at the mercy of bringing people in that know way more about this information than I do. So I am pleased to have Micah Dank on the show to fill in our gaps in all sorts of things. Astrotheology, maybe we could get into a little Anunnaki. We could talk about the zodiac signs. I'm up for everything. Hey, man, how are you? I'm
good,
glad
man.
You're here.
I'm good, man. Hey, I survived the New World Order coming after me. I survived that.
You broke one arm. There's more where that comes from if you get on.
Yeah.
We're all going to be breaking each other's arms trying to eat the scraps that they leave for us. It's been a crazy year. And I think a lot of people think that, this stuff is haphazard or random. I think the deeper you get into these things, you start to see that there's a lot of planning, social planning and things like that. But if you want to take it back even further, a lot of this stuff may be sort of set in motion in the stars. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, that's true. In fact, the oldest the oldest sort of writing that I can decode for you, if I were to ask you what the oldest writing on planet Earth was, you'd probably say something like the Sumerian text, right?
That's exactly what I would say. And even then,
Okay.
I'd be guessing,
Right, because that's maybe like 6,000 years old.
Right.
Even if you believe in Hermes and the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, that's also 24,000 years. But what if you can go back 40,000 years, rewind the clock back 40,000 years to find an idea that has come, that has been, let's say, worked on that we can trace. And that's what brings us to the Lascaux caves in France. You've heard of the caves, right?
They have pretty elaborate paintings of various types of animals and things like that in them, kind of deep in there. It's not like you just kind of go in the cave. You have to
right. You go in there and they have animals like the goats, like the fish, like the horse, like the ram. They have these animals, the lions everywhere. Yep. They have these animals all over the place. Now, here's an interesting thing. What they did when they first found this is the first thing they did was they called an astrologer. And the astrologer came with a computer because we have the technology to do this now. Mm-hmm. And what they did was they looked at the stars, and first they carbon dated the wall. And for people because there's a lot of people out there who say carbon dating is not accurate, the young earthers say carbon dating is not accurate, and it's half true. Okay, the truth is that up to 50,000 years, carbon dating is accurate. Anything past that into the 100,000s or even the millions of years, it's no way. But up to 50,000 years, it's pretty accurate. But what they did was they carbon dated it, and it came out to about 40,000 years as the Lascaux caves. And what they did was they wound the clocks back in the sky through a computer program, and they printed out the sky as it was 40,000 years ago, and they printed it out, and they superimposed it on the cave. And what they found was a couple of things. They found that all the animals, like the lion, like the horse for Sagittarius, like the fish for Pisces, like the ram for Aries, they all were in the correct spots that they were supposed to be in the sky. So 40,000 years ago, they knew about the zodiac. That's the oldest thing that I found on Earth that we have, and it's the zodiac. You go back to like Göbekli Tepe, which is like 12,000 years ago. It was an astronomy site. You look at things like the Antikythera mechanism, which is a 2,000-year-old computer that they just found out was from the Aegean Sea. It was an old it was from an old ship.
I've seen that before.
Yes. So all this stuff, astrology is huge. Astrology is very mainstream, and there's a lot of people that try and suppress it and don't want to talk about it. But we're going to get into it here.
Yeah.
There's things like how Jesus was able to heal the blind, how he walked on water, how he turned water into wine, why he had 12 disciples, why he was betrayed with a kiss by Judas, why he was dead for 3 days, why his birthday is December 25th. All that is astrology.
Yeah. The first time I got into this and had it presented to me in a way that kind of made sense with the astrological component later on the Jesus thing was the Zeitgeist movie, where I saw that, and it ran a list of all the religions that have, birth on the December 25th, the 3 days, the 12 wise men, all these things. It was just a long list of all these religions that followed
because it's the same story that they've been trying to tell over and over again through every.
It becomes sort of, maybe, I don't know if clear is the right word, but very possible that what they are telling you in the way of religion is actually a story of the stars, right?
Exactly. We're going to get into examples of that too. The first thing I want to do, though, is for your fans and for people who aren't really sure. Now, a lot of people know this already, but I want to go over the 12 signs real quick, and I want to give you a couple extra tidbits of information within the signs because they're going to come back to play. Okay. Now, the first sign in the zodiac is Aries, but I'm just going to start with Aquarius because it's in January. We'll start the year like that. Okay. First sign is Aquarius, which is represented by a man. Pisces is the sign of the two fish. Okay. Aries is the ram. And in Aries, you have March 21st, which is the spring equinox. It's every Aries. It's 12-hour day, 12-hour nights. It's also where the Jews have the Passover, or the passing over of the sun over the equator on its way back north to the summer solstice. In Christianity, the passing over becomes the resurrection of God's Son in Easter, which is around the same time as the Passover. So it's two things, it's one meaning. It's why the Jews smear the lamb's blood on the door, because it's a ram to save their newborn child's life. It's why they blow the ram's horn at the sky, because they're the people of Aries.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the next sign is Taurus is the bull, and it's important to remember this. This is important. Back in the day, okay, thousands of years ago, they didn't have phones, smartwatches, tablets, any of that kind of stuff. The only thing they had to check the time was maybe sundials, and they had to channel the stars. They had to track the stars. They had to know when harvest season was going to come, when to pick everything, when to plant. They had to know when winter was coming, and that's the only way they were able to do that. Okay, so Taurus is the bull. So when you look up at the sky and you see Taurus, the bull, you know you have to put the plow on the bull so that you can plant for the rest of the year.
Gotcha.
Okay. And you harvest in Virgo and Libra, but I'll get back to that. So the next sign is Gemini, which is the twins, Castor and Pollux Troy, whose sister was Helen of Troy. It's the story of Achilles. And the elites, they do hide astrology in mainstream things. You remember that movie Face Off with John Travolta? And Nicolas Cage?
Exactly. Yeah.
Usually when I ask these people, I've been doing a lot of younger people interviews. I'm 37. I've been doing a lot of younger people interviews, and they're like, no, what's that? But I thought I'd throw that out at you because I know you watched that.
That bullshit. Listen, with Nicolas Cage movies, it's a coin flip. You're either going to get a masterpiece or the worst movie you've ever seen in your entire life.
Yeah. But there was a series of time where he made 8mm, Snake Eyes, and Face Off.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty good stretch for him. But the thing is that Nicolas Cage's characters were and his brother in the movie were Castor and Pollux Troy. That was their names.
They don't even bother. They're just ripping it straight out of history.
And this is the interesting thing. John Travolta's character was Sean Archer. Archer is Sagittarius, the bow and the arrow.
Oh yeah.
They're opposing signs. Opposing signs are very powerful in astrology. Your neighboring sign is powerful, and your opposing sign is very powerful. And you're going to see a lot of that.
Who gets this? You know what I mean? Like, you see it, you understand it, but it seems like a lot of work for these Hollywood douchebags to go through to put this out there in sort of a nod that is so limited in scope. Like, so few people will figure this.
Well, they have to do it.
Is that it?
You ever listen to Alex Jones?
Yeah, of course.
Ever heard him?
Yeah.
He talks about, and somebody named David Wilcock. I don't know if you're familiar with the name.
David Wilcock.
Yeah. They talk about something called the revelation of the method.
Yeah.
Which is basically that the elites are allowed to do what they want. Okay. But they have to show us what they're doing.
Right.
Because if they show us and we let it happen, then it's on us.
Right.
But basically, they have to show us.
Yeah.
They have to show us, and they do. So that whole thing, and I picked that out right away when I saw that. I was like, oh, that's astrology. You would be surprised how deep it goes. It's insane. So the next sign is Cancer, which is the crab. And the crab moves sideways, right? It's a sideways moving creature.
Mm-hmm.
The sun, when it hits the summer solstice on June 21st, stays in that height that whole day. And then for the next 3 days, it stays in the same height. So it actually moves sideways. Then on June 25th, it drops a degree, and it continues to drop a degree every single day until it hits December 21st, which is the winter solstice. And then that's the lowest point that the sun rises. And then for 3 days, it rises at the same point. That's where they get the God's son was dead for 3 days.
Right.
Okay. And then on December 25th, it's his birthday. You know, it's the same story that this has happened over and over again.
Yeah.
In ancient Egypt, the crab was known as the scarab. So the zodiac's changed a little bit over time, like slightly, so slightly, but it's changed. The scarab, the beetle, the crab used to be the beetle.
Okay.
And In, excuse me, the lion in Leo, that used to be the Sphinx.
That makes sense.
Right. So the next sign is Leo, which is the king. It's the king of the jungle. And the ruling planet of Leo is actually the sun. So when you hear people talking about the sun is in his mighty kingdom, it's the sun in Leo.
Gotcha.
Virgo is the woman holding the wheat stalk. This is a little more complicated. Remember when we were saying that you plant in Taurus?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the virgins would cultivate the wheat in Virgo.
Okay.
The wheat stalk. That's why the wheat stalk is there. Because the virgins would go out and pick the wheat to make the bread.
Gotcha.
Okay. Libra is the justice. It's the scales. It's the balance. It's the just one. The reason it's the justice is because it judges God's sun as it passes over the fall equinox every year and begins its descent into winter, cold death. The Jews always celebrate the new year around the fall equinox. And Libra is the justice, the judgment, right? So is there any wonder why the Jews have Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement in Libra? Okay, it's all sun. It's all zodiac.
Gotcha.
And then Libra is also wine season. So you pick the grapes. You ever gone to a vineyard?
Yep.
You go to a vineyard in Libra around September, October. It's flush. You could pick the grapes. And so the bread is in Virgo, and then the wine is in Libra. That's the bread and the wine. That's where you get the symbols from Christianity.
Gotcha.
Scorpio is the scorpion. He's known as the betrayer. When a scorpion bites you, okay, the ancients would notice that it would leave a lip print in your hand. It looked like two lips. That's when they bite you. That's where the mafia gets the kiss of death from.
Right. Yep.
Okay. It's also when the mafia has the kiss of death is why Judas was betrayed. Judas betrayed Jesus with a kiss.
Ah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yep.
So because Judas is Scorpio, the betrayer, and Jesus is the sun. Okay. Now in Sagittarius, this is where the sun dies. This is December 21st. It's the bow and the arrow. It shoots and inflicts further punishment on the sun. In the Bible, it's translated as a spear. It's not, not translated, but it takes on the characteristics of a spear, the bow and the arrow.
Gotcha.
You have the stories. Julius Caesar,
right?
JC, Jesus Christ. Okay, he's betrayed.
Yeah. And
he's stabbed in the back.
Yeah.
Okay, the two main murders in the Bible, Cain and Abel. Well, the word Cain literally translates to spear in Hebrew.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and so basically, in Sagittarius, whenever you hear like bow arrow, a quivering arrow, man on a horse, they're talking about Sagittarius.
Gotcha.
Okay. And the second mean, we can call it murder in the Bible, was Jesus. And what actually killed him? It was a spear to the side. Okay.
My Bible knowledge is severely lacking. You
just have to trust me.
I will trust you on this one. It's been a while since I've gone down that path, so I will take it that you know more about this than I.
Okay. And Capricorn is the last sign. It's the goat. And the reason it's the goat is because the zodiac wheel, right? Capricorn's at the bottom. If you picture the sun grinding a degree every day, up, 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 stop for 3 days, down, 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 stop for 3 days, up, and just continuously doing that over and over again.
Yeah.
It starts at the bottom and it likes to start the climb on the mountain. That's why it's a goat. Okay. So with that being said, there's a couple things we can go into. Have you heard of the phrase "pride comes before the fall"?
Yes, I've heard the phrase.
Okay, could you define that for me?
Oh, well, I think maybe the simple explanation would be your arrogance can lead to your defeat, but I think there's probably a deeper meaning baked in there, I would assume.
Right, and that's a pretty deep meaning to begin with, right?
Sure. Yeah, it's a good lesson.
But here's the thing. In astrology, do you know what a group of lions is called?
It's a pride.
And the pride is Leo is in July, August. That's before the fall.
Yeah. Interesting. Wow.
Mm-hmm. And there's another one I can give you too. In the book of Micah, which is my namesake. I'm just going to have to get used to using this fucking thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You had a shoulder surgery, so we will, for those listening, Micah had
for those listening, surgery. I had a shoulder surgery. I may still be on Oxycontin. I don't know.
It's going to make this podcast even better, man. Don't worry.
Oh, this is going to be gold.
It's going to be great.
This is great. So basically, in the Bible, in the book of Micah, he predicts that the Savior is going to come from a specific town. Now, he's Jesus of Nazareth, but do you remember the town that he was predicted to come from?
Bethlehem, I think, right?
Bethlehem. Now, Bethlehem is an interesting word because it's two words in Hebrew. It's Bet and Lechem.
Okay. What do they mean?
Bet means house, and Lechem means bread.
I knew that.
So
I don't.
House of bread is Virgo, the lady with the wheat stalk. So the Savior comes from a virgin.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. There's a man. The thing is, you can build statues, you can write books, you can do all these things, but eventually they go away. The one things that seem to remain constant, though they're moving, are the stars. It makes sense that they would anchor these stories in something a little bit more permanent than writing them down in a book, I mean, the best way to describe astrotheology, because people have asked me to describe it for them, because they're like, how do I describe this? I'm like, it's basically the mythology of the stars. Like the Greeks and the Greeks and the Romans, they had their own thing, with Mars and Jupiter and Zeus and everything. They had planets and stars that had their own mythology, and it's basically our modern day mythology. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, you want to go over the names of Jesus? It's right there. He's called the scapegoat of Israel, or the goat in Capricorn. He's known as the Son of Man, or the man sign in Aquarius. Mm-hmm. He's the fisherman of men, or Pisces with the two fish. The two fish is the sign of Pisces. That's why he fed the masses with two fish. Mm-hmm. Do you remember on the So where
the ledge,
where the actual story doesn't make much sense, you understand that when he's talking about feeding the masses with two fish, it's like more symbolic than it is a statement of fact of
exactly
actual fish. It means something different.
It's why the Christians have the Jesus fish.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. The Darwin fish with the little feet that says Darwin and has little feet on it. That's all. That always cracks me up. I think that triggers people.
It does trigger people. It sure does. Aries, the ram, he's known as the Lamb of God.
Yeah.
Leo, he's known as the Lion of Judah. Mm-hmm. The lady holding a wheat stalk, he's born of a virgin, and he's called the bread of life. Mm-hmm. Libra, he's the scales of justice. He's known as the just one.
Yeah.
I mean, you see all these nicknames, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of symbology here. I think people, whether it be, the Bible or astronomy or astrology or politics or whatever, we get caught taking a lot of these things literally, and we sometimes need to take a deeper look, and maybe the terminology is more figurative than it is literal. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, keep going. Let's go. I'm into this stuff, man. This is fascinating to me because I don't know the history of the names of where these things come from. I mean, you get used to the names, or you get used to the symbols, or you recognize the Jesus fish, and you go, oh, that's the Jesus fish, and then someone goes, why? And you go, oh, because it's on the back of a Prius. I don't know.
Well, it's interesting too, is because have you ever seen? So basically, you ever see two circles interconnect?
Yeah.
With the middle, and the middle is the Jesus fish.
Mm.
And the interesting thing too is its angle is 153. Now in the Bible, there's a story about Jesus walking along shore after he's resurrected, and he's talking to the disciples, mm-hmm. and they're trying to fish and they're not catching shit. And that's because they were in the water, so their net was in Aquarius. But the fish are in Pisces. So he tells them, "Oh, throw your net to the other side." So they do, and they catch 153 fish. Go figure. They counted it out.
That's a very specific number.
Yeah,
it would have to be there for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just not accidental. I would imagine all of this symbology is not. When you see something as specific as that, you have to think that's an indicator that there's more to this than what. So 153 is represents the angle of that.
It's the denominator of the Vesica Pisces.
Gotcha. Interesting. Wow.
So I can go into some actual biblical quotes.
Let's do it
now.
Yeah.
So in Deuteronomy 32, I'm going to read it for you first, and then I'm going to decode it for you.
Okay.
Deuteronomy 32, he gave them honey from the cliffs and olive oil from the rocky ground. He gave his people butter from the herd and milk from the flock. He gave them lambs and goats. They had the best rams from Bashan and the finest wheat. They drank the best wine from the juice of red grapes, but Jeshurun became fat and kicked like a bull.
That's like all of them into one. They put all the symbols into one.
There you go. It's so obvious. But there's a few that they didn't go over. So he gave them honey from the cliffs. In Cancer, in the sign of Cancer, there's a group of stars. It's a very small group of stars, and they're very clumped together. It's called an asterism, and it's called the beehive cluster. That's where they get their honey from.
Okay.
Incidentally, the midpoint of the Milky Way galaxy goes through Sagittarius. So from Cancer to Sagittarius, you have the milk and the honey. Milky Way.
Yeah. And then you have that what's that saying, land of milk and honey?
Mm-hmm.
Is that from, I wonder if it's that from that?
It's absolutely from that.
Wow.
It's absolutely from that. So in the beehives, that's why it's also why bees are important to the Illuminati.
They're trying to kill them. They're trying desperately to collapse them. We've had Miriam Hanane on this show, the director of Vanishing of the Bees. She's talking about how colony collapse disorder and all that stuff. They've got to know the importance of bees, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a depopulation thing. We can't survive without them.
For sure. Yeah. Those fuckers.
I'm not even going to go into the rest of this because this one was self-sufficient. This one was self-explanatory. Yeah. I'll go into a different one that's a little deeper.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I just gave you a Old Testament one.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go into the New Testament. Let's talk about Revelation. This is Revelation 4:7. The first living creature was like a lion. The second was like an ox. The third had a face like a man, and the fourth was like a flying eagle. Okay? So the first living creature was like a lion, that's Leo. The second was like an ox, that's Taurus. The third had a face of a man, that's Aquarius. And the fourth was like a flying eagle. Now, in astrology, Scorpio, it's the belly-crawling creature. It's the lowest form on Earth. Its metaphysical evolution turns into the eagle. Okay?
Okay.
And even higher than that, it becomes the phoenix.
Gotcha.
Okay? So when they say flying eagle, they're talking about Scorpio. So if you get those four signs, Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, Scorpio, those are the four fixed signs of the zodiac. And what happens is...
The four equinoxes?
No, the fixed signs. Yeah, like a fixed sign, a mutable sign.
No, I don't know what that is.
That's deeper astrology then. Okay. It's fine. Okay. But basically what you're talking about is you're talking about the equinoxes and the solstices. They make a cross through the zodiac wheel. That's God's son's cross. That's the cross that he lives and dies on.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm talking about makes a perfect X through the cross.
Okay.
And here's an interesting one too. Have you heard of the story of the woman and the dragon?
No.
So a great sign appeared in heaven. A woman clothed with, I'm going to paraphrase this.
Okay.
A woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet. She was pregnant and cried out in pain, and she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to earth. So a woman clothed with the sun is Virgo in the sun. The sun in Virgo.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And if the sun is in Virgo, then the moon is directly under it, under her feet.
Okay.
And there was another virgin birth. She was pregnant and cried out in pain. And then an enormous red dragon. Have you heard of the constellation Draco?
Yeah.
That's the dragon. Okay. And the interesting thing is its tail goes from Aries to Capricorn. That's 4 signs. That's a third of the stars.
Wow.
Its tail
Whoa.
swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to Earth.
So when we're hearing tales of dragons and things like that, this mythological, the stories of that, I know that we hear talk of reptilians and we hear talk of their origins maybe from Dracos. Is that mentioned anywhere in the Bible? They talk about these.
The best information you're ever going to get from the Bible, aside from the Nephilim that they talk about in the giants, is from the book of Enoch. And that's not even in the Bible. That's the one that explains it the most. I have a whole presentation on Enoch. I can go through it line by line for you and show you how it's astrology. Which I can, if I come back on, we'll do that.
We'll do that for sure. I want to know,
because you're familiar. You've read Enoch, right?
No, I haven't read it. I mean, I've heard the name. I haven't read it.
It's not long. It's like 90 pages if you read it at like a grandma's pace.
Okay.
You know, so get Enoch.
Okay.
And then let's hook that up, because a lot of people get like super excited about that.
All right.
But it's not just that. We can go into it even deeper. Okay.
Let's go.
You heard of the book of Job?
Yes.
Do you remember what the story of Job was about?
No. I just know
the story.
I just don't know what it is.
Okay. That's okay. That's okay. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just.
No, it's all right. I just don't know the Bible, but I find it fascinating. So
okay.
Even though I don't know it, I want to know. I want to know it. So
gotcha. So the book of Job is basically a story about a guy who's got everything: family, wealth, animals, farm, whatever. And the devil and God make a wager. Or the devil says that he will curse you if he starts losing things. So basically, he starts losing things. They made a bet, and he starts losing things. And then finally, he turns to scream to God, and he doesn't curse him, but he asks him for why he's doing this or why this is happening to him. So what I'm going to read you is his response, is God's response.
Okay.
Okay. So Job 38:32. He says, "Can you lead forth the no translation needed?" And over time, it becomes Mazalot.
Say it again. Say it again, because for whatever reason, I got a notification saying my internet was disrupted. So in case it's a little blurred out, start again with the book of Job.
So he says, "Can you lead forth the Mazzaroth?"
Okay.
Okay. The Mazzaroth literally means the zodiac. That's what it translates into.
Okay.
Okay. So the Mazzaroth over time becomes Mazalot, which survives in Judaism as Mazel Tov today, which literally means good fortune from the stars. That's what Mazel Tov means. So the Lord's challenge to Job. The first two are pretty easy. He says, "Can you bind the chains of the Pleiades, or can you loosen Orion's belt?" Those are pretty obvious.
Yeah, in terms of astrology.
Then he says, "Can you bring forth the constellation in their seasons, or lead out the bear with its cubs?" The constellations are the zodiac above, and the bear and its cubs are Ursa Major, the Great Bear, and Ursa Minor, part of the Big Dipper. You've heard of the bears, right? Ursa Major, Ursa Minor?
Yes.
Who can tip over the water jars of heaven?
Aquarius?
There you go. Do you hunt for the prey of the lioness and satisfy the hunger of the lions?
That could be both Sagittarius and Leo, right?
Leo, yeah. I see where you're doing that with hunt.
Yeah.
With hunt?
Yeah.
No, but they're just talking about the lions. That's
okay.
Leo. Who provides food for the raven? The constellation Corvus, which means raven and borders Virgo. Do you watch when the doe bears her fawn? Mariga, M-R-I-G-A, meaning deer, is located in Orion. Who let the wild donkey go free? That's Acellus Borealis, meaning donkey, and is located in Cancer. Will the wild ox consent to serve you?
Taurus.
Good. The wings of the ostrich flap joyfully. That's Lambda Achille or Al-Thalimine, which means two ostriches in Arabic. Here's an easy one. Do you give the horse its strength? It laughs at fear, afraid of nothing. It does not shy away from the sword. The quiver rattles against its side along with the flashing spear and lance.
Sagittarius.
Exactly. And notice here how I told you before that it becomes spear. It just said along with the flashing spear and lance.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And incidentally, JC, Jesus Christ, Julius Caesar.
Mm-hmm.
Julius Caesar, when you translate it, comes out to July King. July King is the sun. The sun rules July.
Yeah.
You see how that works?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Does the eagle soar at your command and build its nest on high? Aquila is the Latin name for eagle, and its constellation's a few degrees above the celestial equator. Then finally he says, can you pull in Leviathan with a fish hook? That's Pisces. So that's his entire response. The whole thing is astrology.
So it's just it's coded. It's a coded language. It's not
exactly that you have to understand why I went through the 12 signs with their information in it. That's why because you need that to understand, and it goes deeper than that. And my book series goes very much into that.
Yeah,
we'll talk about.
Yeah, tell us about your book series really fast, just so people.
So it's a 6-book deal. I have a 6-book publishing deal. The first 3 are out already.
Okay.
Unlike most people, like your Graham Hancocks, your David Wilcox, most of your writers, I wrote a series of thrillers where the characters uncover all this information that I'm giving you.
Nice.
So these are fun to read. They're very Dan Brownish. You can reach out to me on Facebook and Twitter if you want a signed copy. We can work something out. But basically, it's a 6-book deal where what I'm going over with you right now doesn't even touch what I'm talking, the amount of stuff I talk about, because I do get into conspiracies too.
Right.
It's not just this; it's who's using this against people.
That's an important part. That's an important point to bring up, because it's one thing for this information to be out there. It's one thing for it to be hidden, but who knows about it, and why are they, if they're keeping it secret, are they keeping it secret for a reason? Are they trying to use this information to suppress us, to rule over us, it'd be great if they were trying to make us better. It'd be great if they had this information, they were trying to use it, in a positive way. But as we get into the conspiratorial components of all this stuff, we know where it goes. Once people get power or information that isn't available to everyone, they tend to want to hold on to it for their own selfish reasons. And of course,
let me throw an idea at you.
Please.
Okay. Let me throw an idea at you. We're in the age of Aquarius now. Mm-hmm. And I say that we've been there since the Mayan calendar ended. Okay. Remember December 21st, 2012, everyone went ape shit. There was a movie made.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was their calendar ran out, and it was a new age. It wasn't the end of times. Mm-hmm. People always get those confused. So I think we've been in that for about 8 or 9 years. But in the age of Taurus, okay, the Egyptians were the most prevalent people as far as societies go.
Yeah.
Okay. And you can literally see hieroglyphs of bulls with their horns, with the sun in between it. They make it painfully obvious, if you know what you're looking for. And they were the big shot people. Then they start to fade. And then in the time of Aries, the Jews come around and they become the most popular people. And they're the people who blow the ram's horn at the ram, sacrifice the lamb. They go through all that, and then they start to fade. And then in the new time and age, Christians come around in Pisces. Okay, the 2 fish, Jesus feeds the mass with the 2 fish, the Jesus fish. Everything that you have, that the New Testimony,
right?
Everything. We're in a new age right now. Is there any wonder why everyone's clamoring for a one world religion right now? It's because they are ruled by the stars. Okay. The NWO knows that there's a new sign, so a new religion might come. And here's the thing. I think that it's going to be impossible for a global sweeping, cognizant religion to take over. I don't think that's going to be possible. What I think is more than likely, though, is that the age of merging with machines will be the new religion.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. Well, we're already starting to see a push for this, it's incremental, of course, but we start to see a push about how, we're adding additional enhancements to our bodies. First, it starts with digital watches, then it's Google Glass, and it's this and I mean, it goes on and on and on. We've got Elon Musk talking about Neuralink and becoming, blending.
I just love how Elon Musk goes on Rogan and he goes on interviews and he tells people, I tried to warn people about AI, they wouldn't listen. This is imminent, and then he goes out and does it, and then he warns people, and then he goes out and does it.
Revelation of the method, much?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Be careful. All this stuff is going to take over. Now, let me show you how my Neuralink project works.
Exactly.
It's going to be.
Yeah, I just saw a thing. They had a tracker in a pig. Was that what I saw?
Oh, I don't know.
They had a chip in the brain of a pig.
Oh, what could possibly go wrong? Yeah. This is not good. So your book series, you've got 3 out and 3 coming out, 3 left to go. Cool. Where can people get them? On Amazon? I'll put the link. You send me the link and I'll put it in the description.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. You could search Micah Dank, and the first 3 books are out, and they're getting such great reviews, and I'm getting so many people come to me telling me how much they love it.
I love it.
What I also say is that if you're interested in getting a signed copy, then you can reach out to me on Facebook and Twitter. I'm at Micah Dank on both.
Okay, cool.
So just look up Micah Dank and just friend me, reach out to me. Let me know what you thought of this. And if you're interested.
Right on.
I'm going to blow your mind right now.
Please.
The whole thing the whole thing that goes with the Catholic Church keeping this information from people.
Okay, let's hear it, because I don't trust those people at all. I don't trust the Vatican. I don't trust the people connected to the Vatican. I don't trust any of those people. So I'm interested in knowing about.
Would you say that I've, at the very least, provided some evidence that there is astrology hidden in the Bible?
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that at all. I don't doubt that there's multiple layers to this one bit. I think that is. I think it makes it. Frankly, I think it makes it more interesting to know that there's astrology embedded in there, because it gives you, like, we watch movies. I can watch. I can watch a movie with my daughter who's 9, and she can get the kids layer version of it, and I can watch it and get a deeper version of it, because it's like
SpongeBob, right?
Exactly. There's a bit in there for adults too, if you know where to look. So that if the Bible has multiple layers going on at simultaneously, I wouldn't be even the slightest bit surprised. So let's hear it. Yeah.
So here's, you familiar with the Roman Catholic catechisms?
Yeah.
Here's Catechism 2116. All forms of divination are to be rejected. Recourse to Satan or demons, conjuring up the dead, or other practices falsely supposed to unveil the future. Consulting horoscopes, astrology, palm reading, interpretation of omens and lots, the phenomena of clairvoyance, and recourse to mediums, all conceal a desire for power over time, history, and in the last analysis, other human beings, as well as a wish to conciliate hidden powers. They contradict the honor, respect, and loving fear that we owe to God alone.
So they don't want anyone muscling in on their turf. They want to be in charge of all of the information. They don't want palm readers, astrologers, or anybody else telling anybody what's going to happen. We're going to be the ones you come to for that information. How dare you try and get it anywhere else?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, look, I don't trust these. Like, I could be spiritual and I can find comfort in some of these religious teachings and their messages and all of that stuff. A variety of religions, they all have something good to gain from taking a peek at some aspect of them. But the thing that has always bothered me about organized religion is that it's at its core just as interested in controlling people as it is in educating or claiming to liberate them. They might want to liberate them, but they want to make sure that they're still in control of their minds.
The way I say it is, it's like a lower chakra, I guess, a lower harmonic frequency.
That's
They want to keep you down here. They don't want to get you to your pineal gland.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because once you do that, then you may come to some different ideas about your relationship with the things that they've been telling you, and you might say, well, I see things differently, and I'm going to pull away from the church a little bit, or not be, or flat out start my own thing, and create competition. So I can understand. I don't respect it, but I can understand the organized religions. Preference for this stuff going away, because it could present a challenge to their authority and to their message. But I also see that as maybe a sign that astrology is a little bit more than because a little bit more than what they think it is, or a little bit more than what the average person thinks it is. Because if the Catholic Church is concerned about it, then maybe there's something to it. Maybe there is.
Well, they gaslight you. They tell you there's nothing about it, and meanwhile they have a telescope named Lucifer. Right. And I don't think we really have time to go into, because I could do that too. All the Lucifer, Satan, because that's all astrology too.
Right. Well, we'll
Lucifer.
Well, no, actually, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do it now. Let's talk. I mean, during the year we've been through, let's talk about Lucifer.
Okay, so Lucifer has been completely misunderstood.
Okay.
For starters, Lucifer calls himself the morning star. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Lucifer calls himself the morning star. He is the light bringer. In Genesis 1:3, God says, "Let there be light." Well, how could there be light without the light bringer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So Lucifer is mentioned right away, even if not by name. And then he's known as the morning star. You ever go outside at 5 a.m. after a night of hard drinking? You're still up 5 a.m.
Yeah.
You see the sun starting to come up, but the sun's not up. It's just radiating light.
Yeah.
If you look straight out, the brightest star that you'll see is Venus. That's Lucifer. It's the morning star. Venus is the morning star.
Okay.
Okay, because it announces the arrival of God's son.
Right.
Okay, so Venus is the morning star. The other thing that you have to understand too is that Jesus also calls himself the morning star. In John 22:16, he says, "I am from the family of David," something of this sort. I'm paraphrasing. "I'm from the lineage of David, and I am the bright morning star." And as far as Lucifer's pentagram goes, do you know what the pentagram is?
It's a upside down 5-pointed star, right?
Not the upside down one. The upside down one was given to us by Eliphas Levi. He was an occultist.
Oh, okay.
Before then, it was always pointed up.
Okay, so it's just a 5-pointed star.
It's just a 5-pointed star. Well, if you look at in 1 year's time, Venus and the Earth rotating around the sun, okay, they almost connect at 5 points. You tie that together, you connect those lines, you get a pentagram.
Interesting. So Lucifer itself is not necessarily negative. It's
Lucifer means. What does Lucifer mean? No, it's not negative.
It's not negative. It's just
it's not negative.
Has it been hijacked to become negative?
It has been. It's been perverted. It's been perverted. I'm not telling everyone to go out and worship Lucifer. I'm saying is that the religious version of Lucifer, Satan, literally, the word Satan in Hebrew means adversary. That's all it means.
Okay.
It's not like bringer of death, king evil.
It's just your adversary. Okay. So, okay. So why was this star inverted then? What happened because of that?
So it was done in the 1800s by a guy named Eliphas Levi. You know what happens when you invert a cross? Is that evil?
It's not evil to me, but it could be symbolic to people that feel like it is the opposite of everything that the cross stands for.
But why? Saint Peter.
Know.
It's the cross of Saint Peter. Saint Peter said he was not worthy to be crucified like Jesus, so they turned him upside down. That's the cross of Saint Peter. That's been perverted too. That's all that is.
Okay. So an upside down cross isn't necessarily anything negative. It's just been once again symbolically hijacked to represent something negative.
Right. And the cross itself is just the solstices and the equinoxes connecting.
Right. Yeah,
that's where the cross comes from.
Yeah. Interesting. So I heard you mention something before, and I thought this was fascinating, and I wanted to wrap up with this because otherwise we'll be chatting about this stuff for like 3 fucking hours. But the mushroom the concept, the idea of the enhancement of human beings throughout history, that what took us from being cave dwelling, knuckle dragging morons into a more elevated version of ourselves. There's that idea that mushrooms might have played a role in this.
Well, it's going to be a combination of things. Okay. For starters, we're not going to get into the Anunnaki now, but like just to touch on them briefly.
Yeah.
It's interesting too, because their story is that they had master geneticists that worked on us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you look at the human body and you look at chromosome 2, and any nurse out there or anybody, a doctor or anything can look this up. Chromosome 2 is 35% larger than the other ones. And in the middle, it's been fused together. It looks like it was welded shut.
Interesting.
So it's a combination of that. It's a combination of mushrooms.
Huh.
Manna on the ground.
Yeah.
The Jews would walk by and say, Ma means what's this? Ma literally means what's this? And it was a little round thing, and they would eat it and they would talk to God. Joseph talks about it too. Or is it Jacob? I think it was Jacob. I'm not quoting this right, but I'm pretty sure it was Jacob. He says, Genesis 32:30, I think it was. He says, "For I saw the place and I named it Peniel, Peniel. For I was brought there and I saw God face to face." Well, Peniel over time becomes pineal.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it sounds a lot like the pineal gland to me.
Mm-hmm.
We do know about the burning bush. We have all of this symbology, this hallucinogenic. I mean, yeah. I had a buddy of mine who's Mormon, and we were on a car trip for a while, and I was kind of goofing on him. I said, I said, explain to me Joseph Smith. Explain to me this whole story, because like I don't know anything about it.
It's like Jesus Christ in America.
Yeah. So he explained it to me, and then when he was done, I jokingly said, because I was busting his balls, I said, "I've had that same mushroom trip, man. I've done that same thing that he did: go out into the woods and eat mushrooms and have this." And he did not take it. He did not find that to be funny. I thought it was. But I mean, listen. When your religion tells you have to wear magic underwear, like you waive the right to be offended when people give you a hard time. I'm just teasing, Mormons. I'm just teasing. Don't sue me. I know you're not Scientology.
Well, I know that's the base of your podcast fans.
What's that?
It's the Mormon Church, the Church of Latter-day Saints. I know they all tune into you.
Yeah, I know. They're way into it, especially since I called Tom Cruise a dick on Twitter. I'm sure they're. Oh wait, that's Scientology. I'm sorry, I get them confused. My bad.
But you know what the interesting thing is too? If we want to just close on this,
sure.
If we had to do a global reset on everything, you know how we have the seed vault?
Yeah, I just got done recording an episode about the seed vault. Yes, I do.
So we have that, but let's say that everybody there's just like a global flood or something. It's just something happens, okay? Mm-hmm. And we have to start from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think religion fits into that as far as shit that we need right now, right here? They're going to go back to looking at the stars and figuring out when they could do shit.
Yeah.
That's the first thing they figured out. No wonder it's the most important thing and the longest lasting thing.
Why do you think the Vatican has a telescope named Lucifer in Arizona that they lease? Like, why is this? They've got to know that people are going to scratch their head and ask questions about this. Are they trying to?
They throw it in your face.
It's two questions. Are they throwing it in your face? And B, what are they looking for?
I have no idea what they're looking for.
But the name is most definitely there to sort of throw it in our face.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those fuckers. I hate it. How dare you? Dang, man. So mushrooms and the fusing of chromosome 2. It seems like maybe somebody, I mean, according to that Anunnaki story that we won't get into because it's too long, but somebody did a little genetic manipulation to us to bring us into existence, or to make sure that we are.
No, it's just
keep us on a lower level, or neither.
I think we were just tweaked to be able to receive a higher level of consciousness.
Okay, so it was done because done for our.
I don't think is there anything out there that's self-aware like we are?
Oh boy, I don't know. I mean, you hear, I hear that dolphins have this amazing ability,
right? Or like an octopus, but like, are they self-aware? Can they like? It's like when people talk about the dinosaurs that they ruled the world. They didn't rule the world. They rolled out of bed and then they just fucking ate things. Like, what did they do?
And they were just.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you're talking about being able to physically alter your environment.
Yeah, yeah.
Something only humans could do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, wow, that opens up that's such a mind fuck to think about that. And I've watched Prometheus and things like that, you know, the creators out there growing life on different planets and things like that. There's so much of this that it's hard for us. It's hard for our little brains, you know, as smart as we are, or we think we are. It's hard for our little brains to really wrap itself around this idea that somebody might have come well in advance and tinkered with us to change our. I mean, it sounds crazy and it sounds insane, but think about the things that we do. Think about the things that we're capable of doing to rabbits or whatever. We bring them into the lab and we tag them, or you know, we tag a bear and follow it its entire life. I mean, fucking UFOs could be doing that. Aliens could be doing that to us if, you know, that's an idea. The idea of genetically modifying things, we've already started to do that. I guess maybe it's not that hard to imagine that some life force that is more evolved wants to come in and tinker with the genetics of the lower level beings, that being us, perhaps in the way that we do it to smaller animals when we're testing out things.
Absolutely.
Scientific process on them. It's just, well, you're gonna have to come back and explain all of this stuff, because now my brain hurts. But do this real fast. Tell everyone where they can find you, where they can connect with you to find your work, or they can find you on Twitter or obviously Facebook and Twitter.
So I'm more than happy if you buy the book series from Amazon. However, if you want a signed copy, you reach out to me at Micah Dank on Twitter or Facebook, or follow me. Just reach out to me. You know, if you have any questions, I can also send you guys videos of other podcasts that I've done, where I go into some stuff a little bit deeper. But absolutely, yeah, definitely reach out to me.
Cool. Yeah, man. Listen, this is a fascinating topic. We have only scratched the surface on it. There's so much to get into. And so, but I appreciate you coming in and giving us sort of like an entry level understanding about this stuff, so that we can, we can, when we see stories moving forward, when we see these symbols, to understand, have a better idea of where they came from, or anchor it in some version of reality where you see.
There's another thing too. Do you remember 9/11 when it happened?
Yeah.
They made it a point to tell you that they lost a dog, which isn't really news, but they did this on purpose. Do you know what the dog's name was? Because they made it a purpose to tell you over and over again.
No, I don't remember.
It was Sirius.
The dog star.
Yep.
Hmm.
As above, so below.
Those fuckers. So much to discover here. That's Micah Dank, everybody. Follow him on Twitter and Facebook. Get his books. Support these people in our little universe here that are writing about interesting things. It's the only way that this is going to work. And if you like this show, please take just a couple seconds and share it. And all your podcast apps have the ability to do that. Micah, thanks so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me.